My name's Dan, I'm 45. My dad's German, fourth generation, and my mom's Fijian.
My name is Tony, Tony Sila. Ethnic background is Samoan. My mom's Samoan and my dad's Samoan as well.
Peter Hunt, age is 46. I am British, quarter British, and 3/4 Samoan.
My name is Clarence Wangini Sanini, and I'm 44 years old. Dad is Fijian. My mom is white, Chinese, and Fijian.
My first tattoo, maybe like 2000.
So I got mine when I was 21. That's in Fijian custom, it's like you're an adult when you're 21 instead of 18 like here.
2007.
My first tattoo was when I was 14.
Well, I have two on my left arm and then my right arm. So I consider this one.
This is my only piece that I have. It goes up to here, inside, and then it goes on my chest, and then a little bit on my back.
I have a sleeve.
I have them all over the place, mostly on my arms, my hand, my finger. This is the first one I got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces.
So it ties me back to my now, who's my mom, your grandmother, and where she comes from, and that side of the family. Being raised in that culture while also being raised in my father's culture, which is, you know, U.S. culture, American culture. So it's a combination of both. But it's a tribute to my mom.
My tribal tattoo, I think I got it maybe like 15 years ago. It's mostly like a lot of tribal. So growing up in the States, for me, there was always pressure from friends of mine to like, hey, get a tattoo, get a tattoo. You know what I mean? Like, and this is not my friends, my Polynesian friends. This is more like friends that I grew up with, you know, in the States. And they were just getting tattoos, like some of them were like street names, or it was just like names of girlfriends or something like that. You know, they're always doing something different. But for me, I've always wanted a tribal tattoo because it kind of ties me back to, you know, my roots, which is Samoan. But a lot of it is part of the Samoan tattoo. They have like unique distinctions from Polynesians, like the Polynesian island, like the Fijian, the Samoan, the Tongans, the Hawaiians too. So pretty much I have a little bit of everything on there. Oh, actually mostly Samoan on there. So I just finally got one, and this is the first one that I've gotten, and it's the tribal one, which is pretty much I preferred it versus the other ones that I was like pressured to try to get.
The tattoo means to me various things. It's cultural for me. There's a lot of meaning behind it.
Yeah, it mostly means, to me it means family.
I think each person that gets a tattoo, whether it's tribal or whatnot, is, you know, it holds a meaning, right? For whatever period in your life. But for me as a whole, it was kind of like a rite of passage. It's for, you know, my family, for God, for land, for culture. It's encompassing as a whole with everything that we as a people just believe in general.
Yeah, and it's unique because it's like Dan said, it's there's no matter what it is, there's some kind of significance of your tattoo. But for me, it's a little bit of pride of where I come from, and when I say pride, it's just because all the stories that my grandparents told me about the islands and how they lived and how they struggled and how they very humble upbringing. You know what I mean? There's something that I really wanted to do. And when I finally got it and stuff, like you said, it was a rite of passage for it as well.
So you see this symbol right here. This is what we call a koko. And that is, I have royalty blood in my family. So this is a symbol of what a chief would have when he is conducting business in the family. There's some other symbols here. On the Samoan tattoo, there's a lot of symbols that represent the land because that's kind of like our background. So you got the ocean here. We have the birds here, right here. And I think I have the mat. So this is a Samoan mat. You have this going back here. So everything that you see here indicates something that relates back to my culture.
I don't, tell you the truth, I don't know. They're all Polynesian tattoos, they're Fijian styles, but we don't really know what they mean. Do you want to go into detail on that or
Well, is there any symbols you can pick out
no?
and discuss? No?
Just some, whatever I was told, but we don't really know.
Well, there's a lot of meaning, right? And depending on how they're mixed together and whatever your story tells. Like mine is Fijian and Tongan mixed together. And a lot of the meaning has been lost over the years, right? I think a lot of cultures that still keep it, I think mostly Samoa and Tonga as far as the meaning goes, but a lot of the meaning's been lost. But for me, this top part is the sun, represents the sun, so life, right? The Fijian flower here is like the genesis of life, so everything surrounding me, right, in life in general. There's a number of things in here, everything from the shark's tooth for protection, everything from the Sali club to always be strong, be a warrior, right, with the fishnet for providing for my family, and even a representation of you guys, and with these four right here for me, mom, you, and your brother. This right here is a sail for always remembering the navigation, right, for leading us the right direction in life. Because our people on Nau side were great navigators throughout all the islands and across the world. So this is a representation of the Wanga Ndrua, which is basically a Fijian ship. Other symbols are traditional Fijian motifs, which are these right here. So you always see these done in different ways. There's a number of styles, right? Whether it's 2, 3, or 4 points, depending on different things. It's also known as like the Fijian comb, because Fijians typically have afros. So, but there's a number of things in here, like everything from meaning of water to even the path, to always stay on your path. So it just means a lot for me to always remember to make right decisions in life and stay on that path and represent Nau's family and even my dad's family too. Just remember who you are.
So there's a part right here where my grandfather had it on his arm, like on his wrist. So that was something that he had. It was like a star, something with the arrow through it. And I asked him a long time ago what did he mean by it and stuff like that. It was just something that they did when they were growing up. But for me, like the whole tattoo part of it, like I said, was growing up, is mostly all the Samoan tribal tattoos. Designs that we have. So one of my younger cousin, he was doing the tattoos, Crim's tattoos. So he's the one that when he was doing it, he was just telling the whole story of trying to make it memorable as one, but then also like that's like the whole path where I've been through. So before I got any other tattoo, this was the first one, so it was special to me. So I just told him just make it tribal on it. So.
Polynesia means family. Various islands that share one common culture. Polynesia is life. So many things, but those are the 3 things that come to my mind.
Polynesian is, I don't think of Polynesian as just Polynesia. I think of it as all the islands in the South Pacific.
For me, I think that's kind of a generic term thrown around nowadays, right? I think Polynesian is really Samoa, Tonga, and Hawaii. That represents the Polynesian Triangle.
Really?
Yeah, but nowadays it's thrown around as a generic term to represent all the islands, because all the islands they have their own saying. It's like calling all Mexicans Mexicans when they might get mad at that, right? So there's El Salvadorian, there's Guatemalan. They're not just Mexicans, right? So for Polynesia, that term, even though it's used throughout all the islands as far as a description, I think for me it still represents those 3, but each other island has their own too. There's Micronesian, Melanesian, and then there's Polynesian, of course, being the main one. So
And French Polynesia.
French Polynesia, yeah. So I think a lot of those terms When I hear Polynesian, I think of it as a generic term for all the islands, pretty much.
Same thing. Like for me in Polynesian, I never knew that it was the triangle part of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but for me, like growing up in the States, and I really didn't know what Polynesian was. So, raised with my other friends and stuff, I started seeing as I was growing up, right? So, about 17 years old, he sent me to Hawaii to my uncle who lived in Hawaii, and that's when I started really seeing Polynesian. But I seen Polynesia as it wasn't Samoan or Tongan or Fijian. It was just Hawaiians. It was just Polynesia to me. Like to me, it was like a whole, just one culture. To be honest, like and I looked at that and I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. But then coming back to the States, I can see the difference in the Fijians, the Tongans, and Samoans, and the Hawaiians. I just kept it as like for me. I always just looked at everyone as one. You know what I mean? I never, you know what I mean. Now that my nephews, I have like half Tongans, half Samoan nieces and nephews, and I treat them the same way. You know. So.
They say it's taboo, so I don't have an issue with other non-Polynesian people having Polynesian tattoos, but there is a meaning. Unlike other cultures or unlike any other races, they get just tattoos for whatever random reason. However, for the Polynesian tattoos, we do have a reasoning behind our tattoos. It's more of identity for us.
Today, I think it's okay. Back in the day, I didn't think it was okay if it was back in the day, because when the Fijians first started getting it, it meant something. You could actually see tattoos on a man's hand, and you'd know where he was from, what village was he from, and his rank in that village. That's how you could tell. Now you can't. So it doesn't matter anymore.
And what about like traditional Polynesian tattoos?
Traditional. See, back in the day when the Samoans used to get it, it was all hidden. It was all from here up, so it didn't really. They weren't trying to show off that they had it. I think today they're proud. I mean, people are proud from where they're from, and they want to show that they're Polynesian or an islander.
I think so. I mean, it's I think a lot of non-Polynesians are getting Polynesian tattoos because, it's cool, it's a fad, people are getting them.
I would like to think that they're looking at something that we have something great.
Yeah.
So if they're a non-Polynesian and they're like, oh man, those guys are so cool, they're so hospitable, they're very respectful. You know what I mean? I have no problem. You know what I mean? Because if you really look to the our roots and stuff, it comes for me, for the Samoans and stuff. I'm speaking on behalf of the Samoans. We were respectful for our older folks and stuff. You know what I mean? We're always happy. But then there's the other flip side of that too. Like they're very like short tempered. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. But it's either or. But if let's say a white kid or a Mexican kid sees the grace and the greatness in our culture, then man, by all means, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm for it. You know.
And tell me how you said earlier about the traditional tattoos from the above the knee waist up. What happens if a non-Polynesian gets a tattoo like that?
It's different. So for that, there's a process for that. You know what I mean? Like anybody can go somewhere and get that tattoo or whatever. But for that kind of specific, there's a process for it. They have to go through the right people. They have to go through their